down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Bang, bang. You tuned in to what? The Savvy Radio Show, Savvy Podcast, whatever you want to call it. Something savvy for you so you could be savvy. Not that I'm savvy, but education makes you savvy. And on top of that, I'm pushing myself. That's right. I'm working on my bucket list / dream. I'm sitting in a hotel room right now in South Dakota. Bang, bang. I did it. I just ran a half marathon, not PR, which is personal record, but it was an overcomer of mountains. And I can't remember when I had the desire to see Mount Rushmore, and it has been on my bucket list probably since I was a child. And I was just super stoked to go. It is an amazing experience. The museum, the memorial, the parking was legit. The whole thing, it was like flawless. And there's this little town called Keystone, which is kind of cute and stuff. But, the goal the reason why I tell you this is that you need to set things that you need to go do. I just finished a book that was incredible called Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. It's off the chain. I'm going to go over it some other time. But, basically the book, it talks about, overcoming the mental game that we struggle, that pulls us down, that gets us in a tizzy, or that we just low self-esteem, depression, whatever you want to call it. It's the soundtracks in your head. And I was like, man, I listened to the whole podcast. I mean, his whole audiobook on the way here. And it was incredible. And, you have to rewrite your soundtrack or adapt someone else's soundtrack. And he said something about Kanye West. I was not really paying attention, but he said that to motivate Kanye West said, I do dope things. And, I just think that's important. These little sayings that you have in your head, you can't do it. You need to squash those. You need to say things. I can do dope things. I can run a half marathon in every state. And that's on my list of goals to do. And I get more giddy about planning that than planning the podcast. I'm just going to be honest with you. The podcast is a labor of love, and I just want to say thanks to all the folks that continue to encourage me just randomly. I'm going to shout out a name, Bradley Cox. He's a young investor in Oklahoma City. I've known him for a long time through some friends. I was fortunate to loan him some money to buy a deal, and he's just scraping by, working like probably too many hours a day in the family business, grinding it out. And he just reached out and just said, man, I really appreciate the podcast. Keep it going. These little things you need to cherish in your life, just little goals like running a half marathon or even running a 5K or, reaching, 1 million downloads, right? I'm approaching, I just hit almost 200,000 downloads, and it's fascinating that I'm able to do this, that I have the freedom through real estate investments and through life and making sacrifices in the past to get to where I am today. And I just want to encourage you that I'm no one special, that you can do this. If I can do it, dadgum, anyone in the entire world could do it. It just takes some time, but you got to find out what your why is, what's your motivation, and just write it down, do a vision board, and make it happen. And go ahead, listen to that book, Soundtracks by Jon Acuff, off the chain. Anyway, number one, I've confessed this probably 1,000 times on the radio show. And, I used to say this and my wife would look at me like disgusted in a sense. And, I say the word depression, and I get it, right? That's just her mechanism to protect herself from, maybe even depression is not even real or whatever. I don't know. But I tend to, and I think it's a lot of people in general. We just don't confess it. We don't understand it. We go up and down in life. Depression, we get hit in the face. I don't know why that I've always struggled with ups and downs in my life, and they're minimal. And I'm always trying to overcome them. I'm trying to figure out, how do I stop that? And then I try to figure out, how could I articulate it to help people? And I probably have more podcasts on the planet that cover this subject, and I don't know. But the reality is, and I think it's a maturity level as you grow, certain things affect you differently. But I found something that just worked for me just recently, and I hope that it works for you. I was in a lull. I wouldn't say depression. It may be depression. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor, and I definitely don't want to give no labels. And I think that's why my wife looks at me funny when I say depression. And I don't even tell her. She probably figured it out by now, but I just kind of stick to myself. And I think I was born an introvert, and then through time realizing that I like money. And sales is an outgoing trade, and so you can't be introverted if you want to be instantaneously rich. You got to go out and make sales. You got to tell people what you do. You got to go buy houses. You got to break those barriers. But just recently, I wanted to figure out, how did I get motivated? Is it new goals? Is it setting a new goal? I'm always striving, and I'm reading some phenomenal books. I'm going to go over next month all the books that I've just recently read. And they just impacted me so much. And I got that from Rich Dad Poor Dad. I actually went back, how did I get here? So I went back, 20 years, and I started rereading every single book that I started with. And it's just interesting, the things that he said in those books, have materialized in my life and the economy and just a lot of things. I think you should go back and revisit books that have made an impact in your life. But what I realized, and this is number one in the trenches, is how I got overcame depression just recently, or got motivated, is I actually, again, bought a book, a physical book, and I got the audio at the same time, and I went through the book and listened to the audio at the same time. And so weird, it's like, I just got done listening to the soundtrack book, and, we beat ourselves up. Oh, no, save money, get it on Kindle. Oh, no, just get the audio book. And I'm like, dude, chill the F out, VanCauwenbergh. Like, it's an extra $10 and it's going to make you better. Why are you so cheap? And I don't even like, thrifty would be the right word. I'm not cheap. I'm going to tell y'all right now, you may think I am because I'm a negotiator, but I'm not cheap. I'm thrifty. Like, I want to be a steward of my money. And I want it to expand. I want it to go far. I want to do more, right? So I'm just thrifty within, but I'm about blessing people too. I hung out with a Life Church pastor the other day, and he's like, there's this gift called generosity. And I'm like, man, Jesus, that's the gift I want. I want a gift of generosity. But anyway, how I overcame that, go get a physical book, old school. I got rid of my whole library one time. I had too many books. And what I do now is I'm going to download this physical book. I bought this physical book. I'm going through it. It's got me motivated, got me juicy, and it helps me stay focused, because sometimes I'll get into a book and then I'll just get distracted. I'm telling you, if you have a problem with ADD or you have a problem staying focused, this is how you do it. Get a physical book and the audio, and you're forced to follow along. And then you got to grab a pen, and then, magic happens. Get ready to change. You can do it. All right, the next one, number 2, OPR, other people's resources. Of course, you know about OPM, other people's money. But, one thing that I realize, especially that I'm really trying to get into commercial, like full on 100, and I got to use someone else's business or use someone else's wisdom, use other people's resources. Right now I'm leaning a lot on a broker friend of mine, how to do cap rate properly. Is even cap rate even worth what they say it is? You can learn so much from other people. Also, other people's resources too. Here's something that I thought was very big when I wrote this podcast. I was hanging around with this amazing property manager. He's still around. He's still crushing it. We used to have lunch before COVID. We used to have lunch at least once a month or every quarter. And he was managing 400 properties. And I wanted to tap into his resource, OPM, other people's resources. And I wanted to take over all of his appliances. I wanted to offer appliances for tenants at $35, $25, $50 a month, and I'll deliver. I had a whole business plan rolling. It never really materialized because I realized I had other better uses of my time, but it would be a great business for you to do. Maybe a young person, you get a couple appliances rolling, getting them out there. I love the rental business. Anyway, so I got this message the other day on Facebook. No. That's not how it is. I got those messages coming on. Actually, I got a lot of Facebook interaction here for some weird reason. But the other day I was thinking about selling this property, and it's a duplex, and it's just in my mind, I need to dump this property. The market's so hot. Anyway, so I just made that decision. I'm going to sell this property. So I just sold this property someone paid off their owner financed, and then they turned around the same day and sold it. It's like a double closing. And I know I'm all over the place here. Sorry, guys. So let me just start over. So I sold the property to somebody on an owner financed. They sold the property to somebody else. So I sold it to this dude for $75 like a year ago. He turned around and just sold it for $110. If you do the math there, that's like 20-30% in forced appreciation. Wow. I can't believe the dude bought it for that much. And I was like, damn. But whatever. So he paid 30% over. I'm like, man, I'm going to need to dump this duplex. Guess who I'm going to call? I'm going to call this dude. And I didn't call this dude. I reached out to this dude on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I got an awesome duplex. And the guy just quickly responds. It was the most interesting thing. I go, hey, do you want to buy another house? Blank, blank, blank. Here's the address. The tenant's in place. They've been there for several years. This is their rent. Let me know if you have it. And I thought this was very interesting. He replied back with, I'm waiting on some closings this month before I start buying again. Thank you for thinking of me, though. Of course, I always say that line. If you know me, I always say, thank you for thinking of me. But I just thought that was extremely interesting. You should not, this is the point of this whole deal, okay? The whole point of this whole thing is for you to scratch, dive, claw to every single deal possible. Don't let nothing slip through the cracks. And so this guy, I gave him the address. I already had a tenant in place. Maybe he looked it up and saw it, but he was just really quick at saying, nah, I don't need it. And I was like, okay. So I put that on my podcast. I learned that in the trenches. Short thinking. You need to do the long-term game. Why did he reply back? I don't know. If anybody offers me any kind of asset, I'm telling you, and if I don't have no money, I'm going to figure out how to get the money. I'm not going to wait till later. You giving me an opportunity, that's an opportunity for you to jump on it. If you think you don't have money, that's where you went wrong. If you think you can't handle something, that's where you're going wrong. Other people can do. At one time, I did 14 rehabs in 1 month. Can you do it? Yes, you can. When I said that sounds glamorous. Wow, VanCauwenbergh, you did 14 in 1 month. Mm-hmm. Until I met someone that did 1,000 in 1 year. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where you're at, but it matters where you're going, and it matters that you can get there. Stop thinking. That's number 3. Stop short thinking. All right, number 4. This is interesting. This is kind of reverse. I'm all about private money. I like to borrow private money. I like to loan private money. But it was very interesting that a wonderful private lender that actually has loaned me a great deal of money, he asked me about someone that was loaning him money. And it was interesting, like he couldn't make a decision. And I was like, I was like, man, you run their credit. Hey, man, there's questions, find out what in the world is going on and, to make a sound decision. So the point here is like, if you're loaning money or private money, if you're loaning private money or you're borrowing private money, have a list of things ready to go so you can prepare and answer those questions efficiently. So I was like, man, look at the questions, go read the questions, like ask them the detail. Have you rehabbed before? Have you done this before? Why do you need private money? And then on the other side, what questions can you provide for the private lender? And, this is probably not the podcast to go into private money. And if this is something that you want me to jump on, let me know, because I'm very passionate about private money. A lot of people say they can't get in the game because of money. That's boo-boo. That's a lie, because you can. There's so much private money running around. You just need to ask people for it. All right, so this next one, number 5, is Section 8. So actually, it's a series of questions, which is cool. You can always Facebook me and ask me questions. The more questions that you ask, the better this whole podcast thing can be, because I just get inspired by your questions, regardless of how inefficient it is or insignificant it is for you, or how minor and small it is for somebody else. But you should definitely, I ask these questions to my broker, even though I walk in and have lunch and I'm like, man, I feel like a heel. I'm about to ask this question. And he could judge me. It don't matter. The goal is, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to get into commercial. I'm trying to buy more commercial properties. So you got to stay focused and not worry about what other people think. Get the answers. If you don't have the answer, if you don't have the answer, get them. Ask questions. So this friend, actually a friend, someone I never knew before, she goes, hey, Stephen, my friend blank mentioned you are an expert in Section 8. And you've done a class on that subject before. So I was wondering if you're planning on doing another class or a one-on-one session. Interesting. I'm first of all, I'm proud of this person for reaching out. She asked the question, do I can't remember. I probably did a Section 8 class like 10, 15 years ago. And I guess would I do a one-on-one session? I go, and this is my response. I go, over the years, I've learned Section 8 has been difficult to find success. I don't plan on offering a class, but if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. It's funny, someone asked me about Section 8 question the other day. My biggest thing is no matter what happens, your tenant has no money since the government's paying for it. Thus, they have no interest, okay? No interest in maintaining the property, and they don't have the resources like pay for a lawn care service. And when they damage it, it's impossible to seek repair money. And the government, Section 8, does not have your interest at heart. Many times I've had Section 8 withdraw money from my account because the tenant never took possession, which they did. They had the utilities turned on in someone else's name. So I remember this very vividly. So let me just tell you a little backstory there. I rented to this gal, Section 8. She moves in, signs the lease. Section 8 signs the lease. Did you hear what I said? Section 8 signs the lease. Gave her the keys, moved on. First of the month, the girl moves in half the month, doesn't pay her rent. 2 weeks in, doesn't pay her rent. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And then the person disappears, right? So that same month, now I let that whole month roll by. The government paid me, Section 8 paid me that month's rent. Cool, this is great. Thank you very much. And then the next month, after I contact Section 8, hey, this person disappeared, can't find them, eviction, boom. Guess what happens? Section 8 took money out of my account. The exact same $800 that they gave me, they took that money back out. And I was like, wow. So this person's basically, I let them use his property for 6 weeks, 2 weeks when they moved in. And then I got the first month's rent from Section 8. And then I opened the door, their stuff was in there. They moved in. And when I called Section 8, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's the deal here? Oh, they never took possession. Basically, this gal bounced off and went to another property. So she was hustling 2 landlords at this time and decided not to tell me, our property management team. And back then I was a property manager, and bounced out. And Section 8 said, no, we're going to pay the other guy. Fascinating. Because they said the word, they did not take possession. And I was like, well, can you define possession? Possession is getting utilities in their name. So you're telling me that giving you the key is not possession. You signing a lease is not possession. Nope, not in the eyes of Section 8. So ladies and gents, there's a lesson for you right now. And I also recommend this practice all the time. When someone signs up to schedule a lease signing, let's say it's Friday, we always remind them, make sure you get your utilities in your name before you sign the lease. So then I said, in my mind, I was like, hey, what's the deal? Section 8, I go, hey, the supply and demand for rentals is huge. I don't really think you need to have Section 8. Consider the headache versus the reward. Man, just wisdom. I wish I had a savvy podcast when I was dying in the trenches. She says, that makes sense, and I totally agree with you, but my husband and I seem to be at an impasse. I'm getting ready to take back our rentals from the property management, and I was going to do regular rent, but he wants Section 8, so we could have them as Section 8. Well, the question would be, why would you do that? Do you think it'll be a headache to switch over from Section 8 to regular? Interesting. First of all, impasse with my husband. So that's one problem right there. You ladies and gents, you got to be on the same page with either one of them. One's a leader and one's a supporter. One's a leader. You got to have that in every relationship. It's a struggle. If 2 people tried to lead or 2 people tried to win, if the husband says, I'm Section 8, say, hey, no problem. You run to Section 8. Simple. If my wife wanted to run Section 8, go right ahead. It's like not an impasse, right? It's a relationship. We're going in the right direction. What are we doing? What's our goal? Why would this be an issue in my mind? If you want to do Section 8, great, do Section 8. You asked me, and I'm telling you, don't do Section 8. So then she continues on. Where the market is right now, Section 8 is not, this is me responding to her. I go, where the market is right now, Section 8 is not necessary. The only benefit of Section 8 is when you're needing tenants. There are more tenants out there than there are houses. Section 8 has no benefit. You have no protection. They tear up your house. They have no recourse. You have no recourse. The only advantage of Section 8 is that you can get extremely top rent for people that may stay forever, which is one advantage. Okay? So she goes, so with the rentals I have, there are month to month, Section 8. If I take them back, then do you think I could just continue as Section 8? Of course you can. These are your properties. Remember that. If I want to turn, and this is what her saying again, continued on. She goes, if I want to turn it to a regular, then do I have to give them 30-day notice? Is there any repercussions from Section 8 that I need to be aware of? Man, Section 8, people, don't be scared of the government. Don't be scared of Section 8. This is your property. This is yours. You just honor the law. The Landlord-Tenant Act is very clear, and Section 8 is very clear. There's no confusion. If they're on a month-to-month 30-day notice with Section 8, which is very fascinating, I don't know that. Normally, the last time I did Section 8, they was 1 year, and then they bumped it up for 2 years because they were tired of doing inspections. But, whatever it is. So I respond back, if the tenant's already there, then the damage is probably done. I would leave them in there until the Section 8 stops paying. I also would do inspections for sure every year. Listen, that's another tip that you need to do, ladies and gents. You've got to do inspections, period. And anytime someone does not pay and they're in eviction status in my world, regardless of who you are, we're having an inspection. The law states that I just need to give you a 24-hour notice, which we do in writing, in text message, and post a notice that we're coming to your crib. That's what you need to do. This is your asset. Do not be weak. You worked really hard to get to this far. This is not charity. This is a position, a job, a business. The law looks at you as a business. The judge behind the gavel, he looks at you as a business. The minute you don't look at yourself as a business is the minute you lost. So she says, okay, if I keep them as Section 8, how or where do I go to collect the payment? Where can I go to find out what the length of time Section 8 is willing to pay? This is fascinating. Do not get yourself into these predicaments and you don't know. You got to know. The government assumes that you know. You must know this information. This is great, ladies and gents, okay? This is great. I said, call the Section 8 office, Northeast 4th. And then I said, hey, I'm like coaching this person right now. I go, hey, I appreciate if you could write a review for me. And that's right, ladies and gents. Let's just state this podcast is sponsored by me, the Savvy Landlord. I got a book out there called The Savvy Landlord, a common sense approach to real estate investing. Hey, my kids, they may go to college, they may not. The $20, I make $6 if you buy the book or somewhere around there. Hey, once you go buy the book, if anything, just click on a review. It's probably worth more than $6. She responds, definitely I will do. You were a tremendous help. Hey, thank you. Thumbs up. Boom, boom. And then she brings me another question. This is fascinating. Listen, I definitely, I'm giving her free advice. Does it mean it's accurate or right? I don't know. You got to test and verify. But I'm proud of her for asking me these questions. But at the same time, these questions that you're asking me, they seem like you need to kind of at least be a part of a group, a real estate group, at least read a few books on landlording. There's Jeffrey Taylor has a good book on landlording. I have a book on landlording. Look, read the books. She goes, oh, by the way, CCP, another form of Section 8, or is it something totally different? I don't know. So I just Googled it up. I'm not lying to you. I Googled it up. What the heck, CCP? And I said, that's for people that have COVID-related reasons, I believe, that can't pay. I have 2 tenants that are getting the government assistance through this CARES Act. Maybe that's what CCP is. And then she replies back, this is where it's getting real kind of funky dunky with me. She goes, I have one that's 3 months behind. Whoa, that's where you went wrong. Behind, and claim that he's denied the aid but can't seem to have enough income for rent. What's your suggestion? If I feel bad if I kick them out, this is where you're going wrong. This is business. Do you think Chili's feels bad if someone doesn't show up to work or you're waiting an extra 3 minutes? I don't know. But here's the thing. What's your suggestion? If I feel bad, I'll feel bad if I kick them out, but I'm taking money out of my pocket to pay for the note. You signed up for this Ladies and gents, everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to own property. Everybody wants to be on TV, HCTV. I don't know, but hey, you signed up for this. You have a rental problem. You made the conscious decision. Then deal with it. Take the responsibility. It is your responsibility. This is a business. The government looks at you as a business. The government doesn't care that you're giving them free rent. What is wrong with you? Stop doing it. Now, yesterday, today. Never feel bad. This is my response. Never feel bad. It's a business. If they're on a month-to-month, give them 30-day notice that you're not renewing their lease. Like, that's just the life that it happens. And listen, I understand COVID, man. I'm telling you, I had some issues with COVID with some tenants. Was I gracious in some eyes? Sure. Was I willing to work with people? Sure. Was there landlords automatically kicking people out? Probably. Did I kick people out? No. Did I have people abuse the system? Yes. Did I try to figure it out? Mm-hmm. Do I know how to do it now? Trying, right? I give people 30-day notices, and everyone's on here's a little tip for you. Everyone's on a 30-day notice for now. I mean, a 30-day month-to-month lease, And so at any time you don't pay your rent, you can't pull the COVID trigger on us, right? The thing is so many people need housing. So many people are moving. So many people are waiting, and you have a person in there that doesn't want to pay for some weird reason. Are they communicating with you? Are they willing to work? Are they making payments? Are they making $100 a month? I don't know. But I can tell you right now, I feel bad is not a good answer. And that doesn't make you money, and that doesn't help that person. It only entitles people. I feel bad, so I'm going to give you free rent? No. You teach people how to get a job. You teach people how to pay their rent. You teach people that this is a business. The government, Bank of America, Chase Bank, whoever you have your loan, they're going to punk you. So get ready. So she replies with, they signed a year lease and it's expiring this December, but they're going to be 4 months behind. What's the reason why they haven't paid? This is just me responding to them. I don't know why I said that to her. Car broke down, boss not paying them enough, seems to reason excuse after another excuse. I'm going to hit pause right there. I'm like, they have 2 young kids, which is why they feel bad, and I didn't want to evict them. Well, of course I have a lot to say right there, but I'm going to leave it to your own imagination. She continues on, is there any way as we landlords can check or verify if they did try to apply for the assistance or not? Oh yeah, I remember. So that I can't remember what time that was, but I didn't respond to her because I just didn't want to go off. So she, let me reread it, and I remember now. She goes, their car broke down. Boss is not paying them enough. That tells me right there, when the boss is not paying you enough, you have a choice not to work there. You can find a better job if you want to, or learn a better skill. Your car broke down. Do you need a car? Can you get a car ride? Hey, Uber works. Seems to reason excuses after excuses. They have 2 children, which is why I feel bad, and I didn't want to evict them. So I didn't respond to the gal. I guess a couple of days later, whatever, she texts me, or a couple hours later, because I just don't know how to respond to her. She goes, is there any way as we landlords can check or verify if they can try to apply for assistance or not? Boom. I said, you, the landlord, file the paperwork with them is the only way you know for sure. You can something to the CARES Act, and people assume, the thing is like, it's uncharted waters. There's no perfect formula here, but you just need to go with it and trust them as much as you can. I have 2 people now. I have landlords, the friends of mine, that have gotten paid on the CARES Act. I have not officially gotten paid. I do have 2 people in the pipeline, and then there's some people that have not paid, and I have given them 30-day notices, and I've filed evictions on people. That's just the life of a business, of being a landlord. Do you apply for the 2 tenants you have? They did the paperwork, and then they brought it to me. So I don't know if that helped you at all, but I hope that you can continue to grow in your business as a real estate investor and never give up. All right, so that was that one. Number 6, you got to put the work in. You got to be ready. You got to connect. And don't go blind, losing big. What I'm trying to say is, like, every time I think of something I don't know, I run it past somebody else. Like this gal just did. She, I don't know what I said to her, but maybe the word business maybe motivated her. But you got to put the work in. You got to read. You got to study. You got to know. If you really want to have success, you don't leave it to chance. Right? I remember the very first time I'm done messing around with these type of headaches. I'm going to be a real landlord. And I typed in landlord convention, and that's how I got to Mr. Landlord. Go to MrLandlord.com. If you've never heard of that before, go to that guy. He's got a ton of resources, articles every month. You can subscribe to his newsletter. You can go to my website, SavvyInvestors.com. I got a ton of books on it, help you grow. You can do it. Number 7, stop. It doesn't help you. Oh, no. Okay, so here's one thing. All right, I'm reading my own questions. All right, you got to stop doing stuff that doesn't increase your business. Okay, stay in your lane, and if it does not have residual income, then why are we talking? Okay, so I know I wrote this real encrypted, and I can barely. Stop messing around with people. Stop doing businesses that are not going to give you residual income, and it's not going to help your business. And there's risk in staying in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't jump around, go into other things. You're just going to get just derailed, and don't do that. All right, so that was it. 7 top things that you need to know, or what I'm dealing with here in the trenches. I know this was long-winded. I'm sorry. I don't know where I went with this, but hopefully you're doing good. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Reach out. If you have a question, let me know. Go to SavvyInvestors.com. Have a great day, and go buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.